guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is Devyani, and after graduating from King's College London, I'm currently doing a job in London itself. And on this YouTube channel, I have recorded my entire journey of how I got in, how I did my assignments, about how I get people or recruiters on LinkedIn to message me to give me jobs, and everything you need to know. So make sure you check out my YouTube channel. But today's video is for everybody who has submitted a dissertation and who is waiting for a PSW work visa. So if you want to skip to any specific question, I've added all the questions in the description box below along with the timestamps. You can skip to that, but otherwise make sure you watch this video until the end. So in this video, I'm going to be answering questions like what is PSW, who is eligible, what is the difference between a PSW and a tier 2 visa, what are the pros and cons, what kind of jobs can you do on a PSW visa, how much does it cost, what is the process, like what is grade ratification, and everything you need to know. So if you find this video helpful, I would really appreciate it if you like this video and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm almost at 10k subscribers. That would be really amazing if you did subscribe. And let's get into this video. So before we begin, let me take a minute to talk to you about today's sponsor, which is Amber Student. So Amber Student is Southeast Asia's largest student accommodation provider. So if you know anybody who is moving to the UK this year or next year, make sure you send them the link. So I've added the link in the description box below. All they have to do is fill in that link and somebody from Amber Student is going to contact you, ask you for your details and match you with the perfect accommodation. But now without further ado, let's start with the questions. So I have my laptop right here and I have some questions noted down. So I'm going to make sure I answer it in the best possible way. But if you still have any further questions, feel free to comment in the description box below. So let us begin. So let us start with the very basic question of what is a PSW visa. So PSW visa is the full form is post-study work visa, which is also alternatively called a graduate route visa. So actually graduate route visa is a more technical term because universities mostly use that, and when you start with your application, like the official form is also called a graduate route visa. So I don't know why everybody calls it a PSW, but the official name is a graduate route visa. The second thing you might obviously know is that it is for all students who have recently graduated from an undergraduate or postgraduate degree, and this visa gives us a chance to work in the UK for the next 2 years, right? So even though it is called a visa, it is not essentially a visa, but a new BRP is issued in your name. So the current student BRP you have, after it expires, you have to discard it, and a new BRP is issued in your name, which is called a post-study work BRP. So the next question is, who is eligible to apply for a PSW? So you have to remember that if you apply for a PSW, you have to be present in the UK. So if you're now back home, wherever you are, in India, in Bangladesh, or wherever you are, you have to travel back to the UK and then start an application. So if you do it from abroad, very likely your application will fail, so you don't want that. So the time frame you have is after you get a mail from the UK VI that okay, you can start an application, which I'm going to talk about later. Till the time your BRP expires, you have that time to make that application. For example, your BRP is expiring on the 31st of January. You're also eligible to apply until the 30th of January. So that is that. So you need to be in the UK during that time. So the next thing you need to know is to be eligible to apply for a PSW, you need to be on a tier 4 student visa. So for everybody who has done a diploma in UK or a certificate in UK, if you're not an official graduate from a renowned UK university, or not renowned but just a UK university who has done their undergraduate or postgraduate successfully, only they are eligible to apply. The third thing you need to know is you are only eligible to apply when your educational provider gives a confirmation mail to UK via that yes, you have successfully graduated, and only then you can apply. So I'm going to talk about that later, but these are the 3 main criteria. Okay, so the next question is, okay, now you have submitted your dissertation, but when can you start applying? Like what is the process that happens? So I'm not going to take you through the entire process. So now that you have submitted your dissertation, in a few days, by November end or December first week, you will get your results. So even though you get your results, these are not your final results. This is like a generic mark you get, like okay, this is what you've scored. But after your results are out, there is a process called grades ratification. So what that essentially means is a board, like an educational board, sits together and goes through all of your grades and makes sure that everybody's, like all the grades are fair, on point. And after that, after your grades are ratified, you are successfully like a graduate, you have completed your degree, And within 10 days, the visa department in the university sends a mail to UKVI stating that, okay, this student has graduated. So this duration of 10 days can vary. Like for King's College London, they used to send a mail within 10 days that your grades are ratified. So after they send a mail to UKVI, they also send you a mail with a unique CAS number. So if you remember a CAS number, like when you were applying to the UK as a student, that time the university had generated a CAS number for you. In a similar way, the university generates another CAS number for you, which you have to use for your UK PSW application. So make sure that even after you get your grades ratified, without the confirmation mail from UKVI or your university, do not start your graduate visa application, because that will result in you not getting one and you might get rejected. So only after you get a confirmation and get your CAS number, you can successfully start your applications. So the next question is, can you study on a PSW? Unfortunately, you cannot. To study full time in UK, you need a sponsored tier 4 student visa. So on a PSW, you can definitely work as much as you want. These 2 years are given to us to make a name in the industry, to gain as much experience as we can, but no, you cannot study on this visa. So the next question is it necessary to be in the UK while applying for your PSW? And what is the right time to apply? So I have answered the first question in the previous part, that is yes, you have to be in the UK while applying. So if you have gone back home sometime in December, you can come back December end or January 1st week, and still you have plenty of time to apply for your PSW before your student visa expires. But what is the right time? So there are students depending on whatever your long-term goals are. So there are some students who apply in December, and if you apply in December, and you will get your PSW soon after, and then you will be eligible to live for 2 years after that. That is, for example, if you apply in December 2024, you will be eligible to live in the UK until December 2026. So if you apply in January 2025, you are eligible to live in the UK until January 2027. So you get one extra whole month. So I think it's more worth it. I think the most ideal time to apply is like 10th Janish, because then it's not too early, not too late. And if there are some issues, you still have like good 20 days in hand to resolve any issues. So I think 10 to 15 Jan is a great time to apply. So the next question arises is, okay, after you have made your application, how long does it take to get your PRP? So this also completely depends on person to person. Literally every situation is different. So for example, if you apply as soon as you get your email, like if you get a CAS letter, if you apply the very next day, there are very few people who apply during that time, because everybody wants a visa for a longer time. So during that time, you will get your PSW visa very soon, like within a week or so. But if you delay it even more, like if you apply around 25th Jan, for example, that time they have a lot of pending applications as well. So it might take more time. For example, you and your friend have applied for a graduate visa on the same day. But it can happen that your friend gets within 2 weeks, and it might take 5 weeks for you, because you might be assigned to a different caseworker. So do not worry. But according to the UKVI website, the maximum time it can take is up to 8 weeks. So as soon as you've applied, if you've sent an application, you don't have to worry. You can live in the UK without a valid, BRP as well, because you are in that waiting decision time. So that's okay. Even though your student visa expires on 31st Jan, and you have not heard back from UKVI, that's okay. You can still live in the UK, but you just have to remember that do not leave the country during that time, because if you leave the country, then your application will be rejected. Now talking about how much the graduate visa costs. So you have to pay £822 as an application fee, and then pay health surcharge, which is usually £624. So this is true for the 2024 batch. This is what the current website says. But if you're watching this video in the future or wherever you are, these numbers might change. So you have to check out the updated website or updated numbers, which I've added the link in the description box below, so where you can find all the information. But for now, it is £822 plus £624 for the graduate route visa. So now talking about the documents you might need while doing this application. The first document is of course your passport and your student BRP. The second thing you need to have is of course your CAS number, which I've talked about. So this CAS number is issued by your university and given to you, and you have to use this CAS number while making your application. There's another thing which is very important for everyone to know. So while we were applying for a student visa, we had to take our documents and go to the visa center, and then they verified our documents and something like that. And that process was long. So because you already have a valid student ID, in a PSW visa, you have an option to do an online verification. Like you don't have to go in person, but you have to do an online verification. So how that works is there's a part in the form. Unfortunately, I lost the form. I had a video recording of everything, but I just can't find it. But anyway, I'm just gonna explain it to you. So on the application itself, you get a QR code and you have to download an app and connect that app to that QR code, and then it asks you to scan your BRP. So your BRP has a special chip. So for example, this is your BRP, then you have to take your phone and scan your BRP like that. After your BRP is successfully scanned, you have to take a photo of yourself and upload on the app. But the biggest problem is to scan the BRP, most iPhones don't work. So you know what works is an old Android phone. So if you have any friends with an old Android phone, please take hold of them, like, you know, just ask them for their phone, because this was a big concern for us, because in my house especially everybody had an iPhone. Only one of my friend had an Android, luckily. So we had to go to her and please help us. So shout out to Anvesha, whose phones we used always. But yeah, that's a big concern. So if you have any friends who have Androids, make sure that before you start your application, you are in contact with them. Maybe you can fill the form together where you can use their phone to scan all your BRPs, and that is that. So now talking about what jobs can you do while on a PSW and what can't you do. So talking about things you can do, you can mostly do anything you want. All the jobs are available. Unlike a student visa. So on student visa, we had a restriction of working only 20 hours. We cannot do freelancing. We cannot be self-employed or everything like that. But on a PSW, you can do any job. You can be self-employed. You can have a YouTube channel like I do. Then you can do freelancing. But the only thing you cannot do is you cannot apply for most benefits like public funds or state pension, and the second thing you can't do is work as a professional sportsman. But other than that, most jobs you can do. So now talking about the difference between a PSW and a tier 2 visa. So what is a tier 2 visa essentially is, that is what we are aiming for. So to stay in the UK for a long time, a company or a job has to sponsor you. That means they have to pay the government to keep you in the country and work for them. So there are some pros and cons of PSW and a tier 2. So I'm going to talk about that. So the pro or the benefit of PSW work visa is you can switch as many jobs as you want. So I was in a job and I recently got a new job. I got a 20% hike. So because of a PSW, I was able to switch very easily. I can do any job I want. For example, I'm working in marketing, then I want to work maybe in finance. I can do that. Yeah, but compared to that, a tier 2 visa has a lot of restrictions. So for example, if you are a software engineer and a company decides to sponsor you to be a software engineer, unfortunately, you cannot be self-employed. You cannot do freelancing. You cannot work in any other field. So if you decide that you want to try your hand in marketing, legally you can't do that, which you can do in a PSW. But the point where tier 2 obviously wins is that after a tier 2, in 5 years, you get an ILR. ILR means a permanent residency, like an indefinite leave to remain. That means you kind of, you can stay in the UK for a very long time. So 2 years which you get in PSW are not included in this. After 2 years of your PSW, then these 2 years are not counted. So it makes a total of 7 years. So your ILR is delayed, and I think it just makes things slow for you. So if you get like an ILR, you get a lot of benefits, then you have more restrictions and something like that. So for me, I think because I was like a very entry level position, for me PSW did make more sense because I could easily switch jobs. Even today, like if I don't like my new job, I can get to a new job. But on a tier 2, if I do not like my job, for example, I'm working at XYZ company, I do not like it, then I need a new company to be willing to sponsor me to work with them. And that also, there is no guarantee. So that is like a very big con, if that makes sense. But if you're somebody who gets into a very big company, for example, KPMG or EY or Google or something like that, and if they sponsor you, it's most likely that for the next 5 years, you're going to be in the same company. So that time, getting a tier 2 visa as soon as possible makes sense. But for some companies, you don't know how is the work culture or something like that. It can be a bit more risky, but also totally depends on what your long-term goals are. So again, like if you get a PSW and within a month, if you get a tier 2, then your visa status is automatically converted into a tier 2. So everybody is trying to get a tier 2 sponsorship. It's not necessary that you have to wait for the entire 2 years. So within 1 year, within 6 months, within almost like even 18 months, if you get a tier 2 sponsorship, you can easily change. So next topic is about BRP delivery errors. So the process is that after you send in your application, within 8 weeks, you get a confirmation email which I've shared on the screen. So that's how it looks like. So after that, within a few days, your BRP is delivered. But the only issue is that the courier service is not that good. So a lot of friends face this issue, so I'm talking about it. But sometimes it might say that your BRP is delivered or is out for delivery, or they could not deliver it. So there are a lot of things they say, but a lot of times they are like false claims. So people, like I did, tend to panic. I was like, they tried to deliver, but they said I was not home, but actually I had never received it, So one of my roommates, it showed delivered, but she had not received it. So it can create a lot of panic. So I'm just making this video, like I'm just including this in the video just to make sure that if you get such emails, do not worry. Like you are definitely gonna get your BRP in the right time. It might take a few days, but these messages make no sense. All you have to do is wait and you will definitely get your BRP. So the next question is, after getting your PSW, can you go back to India and apply for jobs from there? So the answer is definitely yes. You can go back home. You can start applying for jobs after from your home country. But I don't really recommend that, because you have got this golden chance of, working in UK for 2 years. And I think making the best of it is like the best decision for the future. Because with 2 years of experience later, you can find better jobs. If you decide to come back, move back to your home country, 2 years of international experience in the UK is going to be definitely very valuable in India. So if you decide to stay home and do job applications, I mean, yeah, but you're not fully there. Like sometimes recruiters call you on your phone might not be reachable. So I think just stay there, enjoy like the UK life. You have 2 years to just enjoy everything, work as much as you can. Because anyway, after dissertation, you can go back home while you get your results. So be home for like 2-3 months, like have a good time and then come back full-fledged. Because to get jobs, like I don't know if you have noticed, but a lot of companies ask you to have a PSW at least. So on a student visa, a lot of companies don't even give you any interviews. They don't even listen to you, So after January, after you get your BRP, a lot of you will be starting to apply for jobs. So that market is also going to be very competitive. That is one scene. So be prepared, brace yourself. So from that, moving on to another topic, as I mentioned in the video, I did get a new job. I applied via LinkedIn and I had 4 rounds of interviews, and it was a very big long process which I did. So I do not want to create a video on that, because these are the strategies and tips I use to get my job, and also I'm in the job market, so I don't want to give away this information very easily, because it can be like, it's a kind of competitive disadvantage for me. But for somebody who is really interested, I'm planning to create a webinar, a paid webinar where you can register and come and listen to what I have to say about the job applications and the market scenario in the UK. So in this webinar, I'm going to share my actual CV I use, what strategy I use, how did I DM, how did I reach the head of recruitment, and things like that. Then I had to go through 4 rounds. So what were these rounds? How can you prepare for that? I was given a task. I had to make an assignment. So I'm going to talk about what was the assignment, how did I make the presentation, what was the feedback I got, and everything you need to know. So if you're interested, like this video and comment interested down below. I'm not sure how many of you will be interested for something like that, so I'm just in the phase of like just discussing and just seeing that how many of you are really interested. But yeah, that's how I got my job right now, and I'm very excited to start from the 1st of November. If you have any further questions, feel free to comment below in the description box. I will answer all of your questions. But this was it about PSW work visas, and hope this video was really helpful for you guys, and thank you. See you in the next video. Bye.